Hello, and welcome to another edition of True Audio Files. Today I'm going to cover a hot topic that is out there on the internet, specifically on social media, and that is, should you expect a perfect pressing of a record, or also the packaging that comes with it, with the really expensive reissues that some of the audiophile companies are releasing? So, to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, for those of you who may not know, companies like Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs and Analog Productions are reissuing old albums doing special mastering techniques, using special types of vinyl and special packaging, and they charge quite a bit of money for them. So, for example, here's an example of one of the Mobile Fidelity ones. This is the Bob Dylan Blood on the Tracks. And this one, and along with all the other Mobile Fidelity ones that are like this, which are called one steps, sell for $125. Then there's also the UHQR series by Analog Productions, which is something like this one here, this is the Jimi Hendrix Axis Bold as Love, the mono edition. All of them sound spectacular. Probably the best I've heard any of the albums sound from a sound quality perspective in terms of the mastering and the cutting of the record and things on that nature. So the big issue that I see popping up on social media is people get a nick on the vinyl, or there's a split on one of the inner sleeves, or anything like that. And the big argument is, you're spending $100 to $125, you should expect perfection. So my take on this is, I can sort of kind of understand that aspect of it for the packaging anyways, because you shouldn't have a split seam or anything like that. When it comes to the vinyl, though, I think about 5,500 records. And I have to say, I don't have one record that is perfect. Records in general are just an imperfect technology. It's almost impossible to make an absolutely perfect record. Whether it's going to be, a little bit off center, whether the hole is punched in a little bit off center, whether it's got a little bit of a cupping issue, whether it's got a minor little bit of a warp, or there's a little, some sort of imperfection inside of the vinyl, or whether there's a little scuff, or any of that kind of stuff. They all have it. They all have some sort of surface noise too. Now, some are much, much better than others, and especially the Mobile Fidelity ones, and the one steps, and the old Mobile Fidelity Japanese pressings that were done in the 80s and 70s. Those are probably much better on surface noise than just about any other copies of vinyl that I own. But that being said, again, records just aren't a perfect technology. Some people have said, hey, well, what if they just change a pressing plant and go to a better pressing plant? I know that Mobile Fidelity uses RTI in California. Analog Productions uses their own, which is QRP. And the big argument that I've seen is that RTI that Mobile Fidelity uses just isn't very good anymore, and that they just don't make great quality pressings anymore. But that just hasn't been my experience. Now, maybe there are people that have just had bad luck with them, but I just haven't had that. I've had one step that had some visible issues with it, but when I played it back, it sounded perfect. So I didn't bother trying to get it replaced. There is also an argument out there that people believe that the Analog Productions stuff is far superior from a pressing perspective, but I haven't had that be the case either. As a matter of fact, the Hendrix one here, this one and the stereo one, both have more surface noise on them than any of the Mobile Fidelity ones that I own. So, I don't think changing the pressing plant will fix the issue. Also, there's a very small percentage of records that come out with imperfections that are really unacceptable. Um, and, the label will replace them for you. So it's not like you're going to be stuck with a bad pressing. I mean, obviously, if you wait several months to try to get the thing replaced and they run out, well, there's not much you can do because all these are very limited in number of pressings. So, but I think my bottom line on this one is I think social media makes the issue sound a lot worse than it is. As an example, one of the groups that I'm in, I've probably seen, I don't know, half a dozen to 10 yes, fragile one-step pressings that had some scuffs or what appeared to possibly be some sort of a scratch on them, and I had what looked like a scratch or a scuff on mine. But when I played it back, and it was only on one side, when I played it back, I didn't hear anything that affected the sound where that little visual defect was. So I understand the reason why you would want something that's perfect. That's $100 or $125, but you're wanting perfection out of a technology that just doesn't have perfection. And if you have an issue that you can't live with, and audibly it just doesn't sound right, and there's an issue with it, I know the label will be more than happy to take care of you on it, especially if it's something that you just recently bought. So, having said that, I just think that expecting perfection out of an imperfect technology is just, you're setting your expectations way too high. It's just not going to happen. And yes, some human error will happen, and you will get some out there that will not be perfect and will have some visual flaws, maybe some audible flaws as well. But the companies are more than happy to take care of you on that. If you expect every single record to come out of the pressing plant perfect, you're going to pay even more than you're paying now. You're going to pay more than the $100 to $125, because if they scrap every one of them and they literally go through every one of them with a fine-tooth comb, you're talking about more money to pay for the QC on them, and you're going to be throwing out records that can't be repressed into new vinyl, at least for these pressings, because they use virgin vinyl. So to sum up, I guess my whole take is just don't expect perfection. If you have an issue with your record that you paid good hard-earned money for, the label will take care of you. Don't procrastinate, but they'll take care of you. But to expect perfection every single time is just, your expectations are set too high. These releases are definitely by far the best sounding versions of the albums that I've heard personally. And I think that we should take that into consideration, and that, knowing that the label will take care of you if you have any issues with them, then you should be okay. And just don't get yourself all uptight and nervous about what people are saying on social media. It's just way overblown there. So that's my take. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the like button. And if you like what you see, please subscribe and hit the alert button if you want to know when I make new videos. Thank you for watching, and you have an awesome day.